Hello, everyone, and happy Friday. Well, we are back continuing to talk about women over 40. Today's session is about how naturopathy can help. And for that, we have a naturopathic doctor, Dr. Briguglio. She is somewhere over there up north. And she focuses on women's health, and we are going to be talking about how naturopathy can help with women going through perimenopause, menopause. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So let's just understand the high level, on naturopathy and how it can help with the symptoms for women who are going through this phase.
Yeah. So what naturopaths do, I'm assuming if you're on this live stream, you have an idea, but if you don't, please ask. But basically, we take in diet and lifestyle and combine it with like supplementation and herbs to help ease an ailment. In this circumstance, we're actually talking about perimenopause and menopause. And naturopathic medicine can actually, it has a giant role in it, from anywhere from like the basics, so the foundations of health, to going into hormonal therapy.
So let's just go a little bit deeper into that. So a woman who's going through perimenopause, menopause, I was reading online, and I have to admit that I had to learn a lot. There are over 34 symptoms, and women go through this whole phase over 10 years, right?
Yes, they can.
Mm-hmm. They can. Okay, I'm not a doctor. I should not make this statement.
Yeah, no worries. It's what they say is perimenopause can start and it can last up to like 10 years. So it can be a long period in someone's life, and the symptoms will ebb and flow depending on where you are at within that stage. I think that's what that was alluding to.
Okay, so let's just take an example. For instance, menopause and this phase has so many symptoms, and each woman can experience different type of symptoms. So what I'm trying to have for our viewers is that what kind of symptoms naturopathy help with? Like you to kind of elaborate a little bit.
Yeah. So, I mean, I feel like the biggest one that comes to mind is hot flashes, right? I feel like those impact women greatly throughout their day. They are walking around and all of a sudden they get a hot flash and it's very uncomfortable. You don't want to be in like tight clothes. You want to be in air conditioning as soon as possible. So that's something that impacts people a lot. So we work a lot with like hot flashes. Sometimes there's breast tenderness, vaginal dryness, hair loss, weight loss and gain, like the ebb and flow of that, irritability. I mean, those are just the ones that kind of come off like the top of my head, but we work with all of those, and there are ways to treat all of them. Everyone's different. And I know later on in this talk, I think you're going to ask me about like some ways we can treat things. So I'll save it for that portion of it.
Okay, so that's very encouraging, because in lieu of hormonal replacement therapy, which a lot of women seek natural therapies and see and talk to a naturopath such as yourself, right? So we want to make women understand the process, right? If some woman walks into your office and say, okay, she's having some kind of let's just take hot flashes, like you said, or night sweats or weight gain or whatever. So what is the process that a naturopathic doctor would help as opposed to popping a pill?
Yeah, definitely. So usually we'll have you come sit down. I know most naturopaths have about 60-minute to 45-minute or 45 to 60-minute visits when we're first starting, and we chat and we know your day-to-day life. We want to get like a gist of how you live. I always tell people it's a no judgment zone, but the more you share, the more we can help you. And by doing that, we really get a sense of like who this person is and how we're able to best help them. From there, we actually recommend diet. So when we're talking about diet, specifically with perimenopause, I really like to focus on phytoestrogenic foods. And those we can talk about like later on or during the visit. And then we talk about like, how can we incorporate those phytoestrogenic foods and what are they going to do for me? Phytoestrogenic foods are great because what they do is they mimic estrogen. The only thing is They're basically different from estrogen in the sense that they bind to estrogen receptors, but they just signal a little bit weaker. However, someone going through perimenopause or someone who's been through menopause, those are going to help them increase estrogen levels overall, which are going to reduce symptoms caused by lack of estrogen, which are a lot of those that I just listed.
Okay, so in addition to the diet, let's just talk about, I was reading online some of the research that has been done on some of the naturopathic herbs, right? So
Yeah.
can you elaborate on some of the herbs and maybe some of the essential ones that can help as well?
Yeah, I would love to. Before I jump into that, I also want to clear, like, I'm such a big foundations of health person as a naturopath. So I also want to make sure I talk about movement. Like, movement is also a very important aspect of this. I actually walk through like step by step for women how to incorporate that in their lives. And then also like making sure there's enough sleep. So if there are hot flashes, we work hand in hand on that to help improve sleep. And then obviously just working through mental health. But sorry, I just needed to have that plug because I'm all about the foundations. When we're going into herbs though, one that I really love for hot flashes is actually spearmint tea. So spearmint tea, drinking about 2 to 3 cups, it's like 2 tablespoons, 8 ounces of water. I recommend at least 3 cups a day. That's helpful. Spearmint does come in capsules now, but I do like the tea form. When we're going into earlier, I think we were talking before we jumped on about black cohosh. That one has been shown in some people to help with hot flashes and other people not so much. That's why I actually lean towards spearmint. Some people love black cohosh though, so if that's going to work for them, that's wonderful. For hair loss, I love actually rosemary essential oil, like mixing that with a carrier oil or your like shampoo and conditioner, whatever you prefer, mixing that up and then scrubbing it in the scalp and letting that sit for a little bit. That has been shown to be great for hair loss. Other herbs, let me think off the top of my head that I really enjoy. Obviously adaptogens. So actually like definitely adaptogens helping the woman's like cortisol level, overall stress level. There's a really popular one out that most people know, ashwagandha, but there's other ones that are also just as wonderful. I really like holy basil. I really like shatavari. So there's a lot of herbs that can kind of help the women emotionally and like process, I think, perimenopause. When it comes to supplements or aiding in like the micronutrient side of things, I really enjoy zinc when it comes to menopause. I find like most women having zinc in their life improves all of the symptoms that we've been talking about. Magnesium as well, I see being really great. It's important to find the right form. Honestly, there are forms that are more specific for like different ailments. So depending on your symptoms, you might need like magnesium glycinate or you might need magnesium citrate. But that is something that you talk about with your practitioner.
Okay. This is a great list, what you just explained. I think you just laid out the overall framework, what a woman can do. And of course, we don't want to start creating a herbal dispensary inside our body that start taking everything, starting today. Okay, we're going to start doing this so that we don't have the symptoms. But the important thing to naturopathic doctors such as yourself, and then figure out what works for each woman, right? That I just wanted to emphasize that. I don't want people going and buying all the things and start taking.
Yes, I highly recommend. So I usually am not a huge like fan of like recommending dosing and things. Like tea, I'm like, okay, it's tea. Like that one's gonna be okay. But I'm really big on like people going to their practitioner, someone learning about their case and figuring out what's gonna be exactly right for you. Because depending on what symptoms you're having the most and how the symptoms are paired, that can actually change the treatment plan, right? So if you're really focused on hot flashes and vaginal dryness, that can be like a different treatment plan than someone has hot flashes and is losing their hair, right? Like there might be something different. Just a little plug for the vaginal dryness symptom, because I know that's a big one for everyone. I actually recommend topical vitamin E oil. I've seen that do wonders for a lot of people. Yeah. So
Okay.
that,
No,
sorry,
vaginal
didn't mean
dryness.
to cut you off.
No, I'm sorry. Vaginal dryness is a huge topic that I want to talk only on vaginal dryness. And a lot of women don't talk about it. I don't know, it's taboo, or it's something like you want to slip it under the rug, but we want to bring it out, because it is important for women out there, right?
Yeah.
And it translates into relationships. I mean, there's a lot of ramifications that go into that. But overall, if you want to take a couple minutes and talk about vaginal dryness, please go ahead.
Yeah, like you said, so it's definitely one of those symptoms that kind of like causes a cascade of effect, right? Like vaginal dryness occurs, libido depletes, that can impact the relationship. And so I've seen a lot of things come from this one symptom. So my biggest, honestly, recommendation is that vitamin E oil topically, just daily or before intercourse, after intercourse, finding a good lubrication. I really like Good Clean Love. There's another one, and I'm like totally forgetting what brand it is, but basically you want it to be like water-based. A lot of people like coconut oil, which I don't have a problem with. But I also really like to recommend lubricants that people would like as well, maybe less messy. Some people also don't like the flavor of coconut. Some people are allergic to coconut. Anyway, sorry, that was a little side note, but I recommend using lubricant, vitamin E oil, and also using a probiotic daily. So once we kind of go into the vaginal dryness piece, that can also lead to just like a whole slew of genital urinary symptoms. So like frequent UTIs, itchiness, vaginal infections, bacterial vaginosis. So that can like just totally branch off into that, which is a whole nother piece. And so I talk about like taking care of the lubrication, then we're taking care of the microbiome of the vagina. And then we go into like, what are things we can do to avoid having those like frequent UTIs or bacterial vaginosis infections. And those can be dependent on the person, but the basis are keeping that lubrication and probiotic, and then we go from there.
Okay, so now on the lubrication, you talked about the oil. My question was, and this is a quick 10-minute session. I don't want to make it into a like full, full consultation here. But just last question is there any kind of foods that can help with the vaginal dryness? Like you talked about the phytoestrogens earlier.
Yeah.
Soya and all that. But my last question is for women who are going to experience vaginal dryness. Is there some kind of some cruciferous vegetables or anything else that they can load up on a daily basis in addition to the probiotic?
Yeah, so you just said some, so that was great. So like brassica family foods, so like Brussels sprouts, broccoli, cabbage, chard, kale, flaxseed. Also, I really recommend, honestly, seed cycling even into perimenopause and menopause, because that nourishes the natural cycle of a woman. So if you're wondering what seed cycling is, it's basically having 2 seeds during the first half of your cycle, 2 seeds to the second half. There are people, you can actually purchase like packages now that just have them already ground up for you, and you can add them into smoothies or something like that. Or you can just like eat the seeds or and find them. I do recommend always grinding them before. So that's on the food side of things. If we are talking to supplements, sometimes NAC can actually help increase those vaginal fluids. And then also being aware of taking antihistamines. So antihistamines can also cause dryness in all mucous membranes, including the vagina. So that is something to keep in mind and to talk to your doctor about.
Well, excellent session. I'm so thankful to you. You give so many tips here.
Yeah, good. I'm glad.
There is so much hope, right? We women feel that, oh my God, now I've just lost my libido. Now I've done this and I'm getting old and the hair is going off. There is hope. That's what we are here for. And that's why you are here for. So Thank you. Yes, absolutely. Thank you so much. Anything else you'd like to share about your clinic? I'm sure people would love to, if they want to consult with you, if they want to reach you, you want to share that information before I wrap up today?
Yeah, so I'm Dr. Briguglio, as you said in the beginning. I specialize in hormonal health and actually fertility. So I'm on like kind of both sides or all sides. I actually have an in-person clinic in Scottsdale, Arizona, but I also do telehealth visits. you can reach me at walkthenatural.path.com or find me on Instagram at walkthenatural.path and or Facebook or whatever. It's all Walk the Natural Path. If you type that in and Dr. B, I'm sure you'll find me. But that's where you can find me. I do have actually free 15-minute consultations. As of now, they've been filling up. So I always recommend people to kind of jump on them. Otherwise, I might not chat with you for a couple weeks. But I look forward to hopefully seeing some of you or chatting with some of you. And thanks for having me on here.
Great. Thank you so much. And we are coming up with programs and workshops specifically focused on these topics that we talked about, just give you a brief overview. So with that, have a great weekend, everyone. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you.